Perfect.
Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I'm Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and as always, I'm joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Good to hear, good to hear. And, show favorite, the man that gets people banned, Winky in the house. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Bob. Have I really got somebody banned?
Well, remember the one guy that you told? Well, he was like, buy gold, you'll be fine.
I feel like that's a meme, right? I feel like he didn't actually get banned. I feel like
if he did, he just ordered way too much because people do it all day, every day, and I don't. Wiki says it's okay. I don't really think it's okay, but
I should make a YouTube video on how to safely buy gold and just really get canceled in the comments.
Yeah, well, see, I feel like I'm kind of a jerk by standing on my high horse because I get to play all day, every day. So, of course, I don't need to buy gold, and it's kind of rude for me to judge anybody else. So I kind of am neutral on the topic, to be honest. But so first time joining the actual show, he was on our special from TwitchCon, but the man, the legend, welcome to the show, Kargoz. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really good. Thanks so much for the invite. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about all this stuff that we're passionate about. Great to be here.
Yep, I kind of want to do something for you, but it might not be great, but I'm going to do it for you anyway, and just in memory of an old friend, but good morning, Kargoz!
That's awesome, man.
Oh God.
Hopefully I didn't blank out, but I tried to lift my head for you.
Well, if you executed it properly, you would have had to have peeked out at the top end and just gone silent for a little bit.
Yep. Oh man, miss you, Def Camp. Love you, Melderon and Def Camp. And Miss Good Morning Azeroth, man. I'm still trying to get you to bring that back, maybe someday.
It might happen. Dunedain's been pinging the group chat saying we should do one and stuff, and we've been all kind of just lazy. We need to get our act together and do one. I think people are down for it though.
Yeah, you do special ones sometimes here and there, they'll pop up. So we'll just hope for more of those. But okay, so for the show this week, I always like to remind everybody that we stream live on Twitch, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. I want to thank our tank patrons in Thick Lizzy and Croxford. Want to remind everybody that with everything going on, there is definitely a Rested XP guide for you. Use code RELOADED. Link will be in the description. You can't go wrong with it. I can't play without it now. It's pretty sad. But dude, so Classic Go is a buddy of mine. If you don't know him, he does Boomkin content. And I was like, he doesn't like to use any add-ons at all, right? But he's leveling on my server, and I was like, dude, listen, I'll buy you Rested XP for a Christmas gift. And he gets it, and he's hooked. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm following this arrow. It's refreshing for some reason. I don't know what's wrong, but I'm enjoying this add-on.
Yeah. You kind of develop a dependency on it, myself included. I feel naked without it now.
It's
I've
just
been
so
doing
good.
some runs without it recently, and it's terrifying me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into
How
that.
am I supposed to know where to go?
Yeah, we'll go to get into that later, but it's terrifying without RXP, dude. RXP's goated.
Yep. Sorry, but that was just a little side thing I thought you'd get a kick out of. Then we're gonna go over one of our voicemails, but the other ones we're gonna save for section 3, the last segment of the show where we're going to talk about just hardcore, and these are hardcore voicemails specifically. So I thought they would fit there. But then we're going to go on and we're going to talk about what we've been doing in Wrath. We're going to go down. There's just a little bit of news. We'll let you know, but that'll be extremely short. And then it's just going to be all hardcore. So strap in, guys.
Can I interject before we do a voicemail, Bob?
You sure can.
Can I just say, if you're going to leave a voicemail calling me homeless, you could at least do it on an episode where I'm the guest and I can defend myself.
Well, I did send it to you in case you wanted to call in and leave, like, you know, a little, something else. But instead, you just made an awesome song. So I played, so I played your music, right after I played the voicemail. It was great.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it on the episode when it released. It was pretty. That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It was great.
Now I have people coming into my chat being like, "Oh yeah, Winky's the homeless guy, right? That doesn't look homeless anymore." It's like. Thanks, appreciate it.
So for Kargoz, you might not have heard this voicemail, but someone wrote in saying how cool like the episode from TwitchCon was, and they said in their thing, they're like, and Bob, you just looked really cool with your sunglasses on, and Crix just looks naturally cool, and then Winky looks like a cool, like, homeless guy. But now he doesn't look homeless, so he just looks cool. She was hilarious, though. Yeah, the voice of the voicemails are funny.
So funny.
Real funny, guys. It's funny when you're not the homeless one, I see. Yeah.
The voicemails have been absolutely just a gasp. They've been great. But all right, here's the first one, and it's directly kind of pointed at you guys. Okay, so.
Yo, Bell Mob. Bell Mob. Mel, Bob, Kargoz, and Winky. Hope you're all doing well. This is Classic Go, as most people know me, or just Go. I've got a bit of a long-winded idea that I hope you all will be interested in. It's not really hardcore related. I know you guys are like the hardcore kings, but it is a community-driven WoW Classic event idea, and dying would be allowed. So a few years ago, before WoW Classic was even a bug in Blizzard's ear, there was something called Project 60. I played it back then, and it was where you would still start at level 1. You would pick like a new server on retail and play up to level 60, and then turn off your XP and do the vanilla raids. So there were some rules other than just cutting your XP off, but that's the main idea. So what would you all think of a revised Project 60, like Wrath of the Lich King Classic version, where there are rules in place to limit the raid size, so there's not 40 people going into Molten Core again or anything like that. You could have like 20, 25. You limit the zones that you could go to, so no like Outlands, Northrend, or anything outside of the 2 main continents. And some other optional rules as well. And then you could, like, quote unquote, lock the raids so that there would be phases. So you could have like this, like phase 1 or whatever. And then phase 2 would be like Molten Core, Onyxia, and so on. And like have it every, month and a half, 2 months, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it is, and have there be some sort of like progression. So, if you guys were interested in that as like host of it, after like the hardcore events are over that are going on right now, I think there'd be a lot of interest if you guys could get it going. If you're not interested, then it's all good. But I would be stoked for something like this. I'm not too big on like playing hardcore stuff yet. I do plan to try next like 2 weeks or so in one of your all's events, but hopefully you guys could take this project on too. That's it though. Have a great podcast. Mel.
I think he was going to say Mel's the best, but get cut off. Well,
oh, did it get cut off, Bob? That seems quite convenient for Bob over there, but whatever. Let that one go.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to cut off the very last second of any voicemail, but we really appreciate Go. I know you're super shy, and I know that was not easy for you, but we appreciate you writing in. And what do you guys think? You think something this could be good?
I appreciate the voicemail. It seems like a really nice guy. I'm all for it. I think we're at the point in Classic where we got to start thinking of not only sandboxing the game itself, but just even events, sandboxing the community itself in a way. Like we need to start thinking creatively and outside of the box to come up with more content for people on the Classic boat to enjoy. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to go, if they're going to do Kata. My whole theory on the whole Kata thing, just to quickly summarize, is I think they're going to do Kata Classic, but I do think that's going to be the end of the line for Classic. If I had to guess, I think there's not as much nostalgia and passion and love for Kata, even though it's probably a pretty decent game the second time around. People are going to be able to enjoy it more than they did the first time around.
Yep.
But with that in mind, I'm all for supporting community initiatives and projects like that. I think when you do a big community event like that, it tends to be feel a bit more wholesome because it's almost like not real in a way. Like if there's like a real fresh server Blizzard announces and drops, like you're going to get all types of like really competitive and sweat lords, going as hard as possible and stuff. But when it's like kind of a community one, we've seen this with this Hardcore Fresh we've done recently. It tends to be a bit more lighthearted, a little less. It doesn't take itself as seriously, and I think something like that. I'm a big vanilla guy. Always have been, always will be. The TBC and Wrath feel like vacations to me. They're awesome vacation properties that you can go and hang out at for a little while, but vanilla's home. And I'd be interested in doing something like that, mainly from the vanilla SOM/Classic Plus perspective, where I'd like to see what vanilla content looks like with Wrath talents engaged or TBC talents to see if that should be something on the table for future SOM seasons. So it'd almost be like research and development from my perspective in terms of like how to, maybe this stuff could work really cool in vanilla, or maybe it would be a total flop. Like I have no way to tell at this point, but I'm all for support and stuff like that. It's totally on the table, man. Most likely, it's totally on the table. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if we'd want to lead it or whatever, but I'd be down to participate.
I think Kargoz just kind of took a perfect answer, right? But I agree. I would second the idea that I think we're in this place with Classic WoW in specific, whether it's Wrath or whatever the current iteration of Classic is, where we, like, as a Classic community, can start doing these fun little sandbox type game modes. And I think it's beneficial in the long run to do more and more and more and more cool events, cool things, make your own challenges, things like that. You can see a lot of parallels with games like Final Fantasy XI or RuneScape or OSRS as it's known. Their game was actually dying, just straight up dying, until people started taking it like a community initiative and like pushing these game modes out to do things the way they wanted to do them. And then all it took was a bunch of people doing it, and then you get a little bit of developer support here and there, and then bing bang boom, your game's actually alive and breathing again, which is really, really cool for everyone to see.
Yep. I'm
For sure.
I'm in the same boat, because I was, when this whole journey started, I was for sure like, there's no way in hell I'm going to play through Wrath and that's it. There's no way in hell I'm going to play Kata. Now I'm like kind of thinking about it, but I'm still not even close to I'm sure. So I'd like something else.
So sad to think of it coming to an end, though.
It is, man. It's actually been weighing on me hard, because I've been waiting on Wrath, and now I'm in it, and I'm like, oh, this is great, but I'm like, this is coming to
next,
an end. Yeah, I'm just like, and maybe Kata, maybe they make the right changes that are, draw me in, but there's just a lot about Kata that I just did not like, and
I think Blizzard needs to draw the line, though. Like, I think Kata's too far, in my opinion, and I know there's a lot of people that would disagree with that, but I think you just need to draw the line with where does Classic stop, And I think after Wrath, the core essence of Classic World of Warcraft, the trifecta of vanilla, TBC, and Wrath, is just, it's over. And then you're just you're just replaying retail WoW on a loop, right?
Right.
So I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I've had this discussion a lot, and there's a lot of good points in both directions of why you should or shouldn't do kata.
Yeah, it's almost like if Classic were to die with dignity in a certain way, like they would just draw the line in the sand and just a clear separation. It's the old game world. It's vanilla, TBC, and Wrath. And then, you know, it has some respect like that. They accomplished the mission. They did it. They brought back the old school game world. We played it through completion. It was a hell of a time. It was an awesome adventure. And now we're going to focus on Season of Mastery, Classic Plus, TBC Plus, and continuously serving that community who's interested in the old game world. What I think is going to happen, though, is they're going to test the waters with kata. I think they will do it, and they're going to need to see. They're going to make data-driven decisions here. And once kata comes out, I think it might come out of the gates maybe strong because people are still looking to play together. A lot of friends are looking to continuously. You know, this is the thread that ties a lot of us together, right? And they're going to try it out. Right. But Classic has always been a mixture of the game being incredibly good and flavorful and amazing, but also mixed with nostalgia and love and passion and all that, right? And the two forces kind of combine and make it so compelling. I think with kata, you're going to have a decent game, and they're going to make some improvements to enhance your quality of life, and they're going to listen to the players and try to do some cool stuff for kata. It'd probably be pretty enjoyable, but I just don't see nearly at any. It's not even comparable with, because there are a lot of Wrath babies. There's people who have a ton of love for Wrath of the Lich King, the soundtrack, the zones, all that. Same thing with TBC. I think that side of it is going to be almost completely missing. So I feel like it's going to fall off incredibly hard, and they'll probably at that point just say like, yeah, it's kind of like no point to continue on.
The way I look at it is you can see very clear lines in the sand already drawn in the private server community. If you are a private server player and you played on classic, old school classic WoW, vanilla WoW private servers, you heard about fresh TBC and fresh Wrath servers. You barely ever heard about fresh kata servers, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like the private server
you
community,
don't ever hear
in my
anybody
opinion,
say kata's my favorite.
Yeah, right. Like I don't know. It's like when you're a private server gamer, and you identify you got Classic Andy on your passport, as Kargoz would say on his holiday album, right? I don't know if Cataclysm counts as a Classic Andy player.
I don't think it does. No, I mean, it's when the majority of, it's amazing. I've had a ton of guests on, and it's pretty normal that they quit the same time I did Cataclysm. Like many of them, like me, never came back. Like I never came back and played, the start of an expansion, anything. I was just gone, and I don't know. It just does not feel like World of Warcraft after that. And
I don't know. Yeah. I've made this argument before, but I think there was also like the people that were playing original vanilla and through Wrath and then Cataclysm. A lot of those people hit like major life change times when Cataclysm came out too, right? So is it that we just stopped having enough time to put the time into the game that we wanted, and we're now remembering it as it was awful, and we don't like, we are only remembering those bad parts of it, because you could pick bad parts out of any expansion if you wanted to. And
like
I'm not
right
saying
now
that
in Wrath.
Yeah, right.
See,
I'm not saying that Classic is what?
Well, no, I'm just saying a lot of people are saying that about Wrath right now, but I'm like loving doing the achievements that I don't have to do. I don't know. It makes it so much fun that I don't have to do it. And I'm like, I'm going to go do it. I don't know.
True.
But yeah. And Mel also made another good point, or maybe it was Willie. I don't know. But the expansions in Classic have felt way different because they're on like a pretty good timeline. Whereas you think about the actual, when they came out, you're sitting waiting for content after you're done for so long, so like it might feel better maybe, but at the same time, I don't want them just to start over and go through the three again. Cause like, I don't know about you guys, but like Wrath and Vanilla are my favorites, right? TBC, I'm like, dude, I could have skipped that. I would have been okay with that. Like, it's so like, I don't know. I think my favorite idea is vanilla with Wrath rules, and like don't change up the trees. I want to see what people actually spec and what classes are really good, because that would actually shake up classes quite a bit. Like, and screw it, give us world buffs too. I don't care. Like, yeah. But I don't know.
I like what they're doing at the moment right now. I was trying to think about Blizzard's POV on all of this with the current state of vanilla and stuff like this, and how they view their ecosystem of games and servers. And in a way, I can kind of see what they're doing right now is pretty like decent with what they're doing with vanilla in particular. Like they're continuously keeping the era servers alive. I remember there was conversations back when SOM was coming out. People were wondering, are they going to keep era servers alive? Or are those just going to close? Or what's the deal with those? And I think that they're showing them some love. I'm incredibly thankful that we have era to play on, and it's just, I don't know. It's amazing. We're playing on era right now on Bloodcell and stuff, and I'm just so incredibly thankful that we can play, vanilla in this setting. But then you can also run stuff like Season of Mastery and things like that, where you can test the waters and try new things. Mm-hmm. I like to see them, and they already have been moving away from WoW, viewing WoW as like a static game that is like one game world that just continues on and runs alongside the real world, as opposed instead of that, viewing it as a cyclical game, like viewing the server lifespan as like a giant game of Dota is the analogy I've used before. You pick a new hero, a new champion each time, you gear up, you do it a little different each time, but it's something that it's totally fine to repeat. It's a very huge, colossal difference in the mentality though between classic players and retail players, because on retail, the idea of fresh is non-existent. This is what I've been told, at least. So I could be off base, but like they don't do freshes in retail. It's not a thing. It's not really built into the culture. People probably scratch their head and go, why would I want to do that? You know what I mean?
I think Project 60 was like the only time anything big like that ever happened.
Well, I think retail is more of the end game of retail is straight up collection. It's a collection game, right? You collect your achievements, you collect your mounts, you get your titles, you do raids to get loot just to replace it. And then, it's like if you're not into the end game raiding, which most people are, that's the whole reason they're playing. It's straight up just a collection game. It's like
at the same time, you have the incredibly turbo sweat side of it too, where people are mythic raiding and doing the the MDI and all that. It's closer to an esport in a traditional sense at the top end of it.
MDI, like at the top, right? You can't ever base a community off the top, because that's literally less than 1% of the player base, right? That are doing those things. If you're Blizzard and you're looking at it, right, you have to look at it like, what does the core 99% of our players want out of this? Good raid content for their casual raid nights, raid finder, and collecting things like for their transmogs, right? I'm not sure.
To tie it back when the Kata thing is, I just think, well, we'll see how the cookie crumbles, right? Like I could be totally wrong here, but I think Kata is just going to feel like budget retail if they come out with Kata Classic. Like at that point, you're just playing kind of like just a strange version of retail. If Dragonflight's in a good spot, right? Like, why are you going to play Kata Classic when you have Dragonflight out? Like most of the retail systems are in place at that point. And that's the long, slow death that Classic dies on. That's the route where they launch Kata because they're at the board, or they're at in the boardroom going, this is probably going to make a good amount of money. There'll be some interest. People want to just keep their friend circles going. They could have an optimistic kind of wholesome take on it that like, we just want to keep the guilds going, give the Classic community more stuff to do. But I just think it's going to feel very hollow. Like after like a month or two into Kata, people are going to be scratching their heads like, why am I playing this again? And that'll probably be the end.
Yeah. I think I remember when they first said they were going to do Classic era servers, and I was like, I don't know who this is for. Do you want to just keep raiding next? And like I was just so dumb. Like I just didn't even think about and this was when we talked about it was before really the hardcore stuff had kind of caught on. Like it was pretty early on. But it was so dumb of me. Although one thing smart I did say was it should just be a couple servers, like not every single server have an era. Like, but yeah, it's so cool that that's still there for us to do. Like I've been playing on it. Last a few days. It's crazy. But
well, think of the overhead for it too. It can't be that much, right? It's got to be pretty cheap to like. They have the infrastructure to keep the lights on Classic, so
yeah,
you might as well just keep it around so people don't ask for it again in 5 years. Like
yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. And I pointed out, like, I think the private server players would more like you to keep making servers, and then SOM came out, and then, I mean, we saw it was a success for, if they were making it for private server players, it was a success, because most of those guys don't even play through, past Blackwing Lair. They move on to a new fresh.
Mm-hmm. Fresh mentality.
And that's what those guys want. That's what like Grays for Days and people like that and Kargoz live for, is that opening burst, and so
I've got a
cool
shirt on my merch store, Bob. It's just a black hoodie and it says next fresh when. So that when you're in the mall, people know when you're approaching a private server player.
That's awesome.
There's something cool about it, where I almost take pride, and I think a lot of private server players and vanilla guys as well, and just maybe people all over. The reason why you lean into the fresh saying a lot is that it represents a sort of mentality towards the game where the pixels don't matter. We're here for the experiences. We're here to do it again and again and practice it almost like a craft. We're not here to collect little friggin' toys or whatever, man. I'm here to put my best foot forward. I'm going to try to, play the best, cleanest game I can. It's very exciting. Obviously, new communities, friendships forming. But the idea that the pixels don't matter to us, we're built diff, dude. We'll lean into it. New server. Let me delete my character. Let's go again. It's all good, man. Like, I'm not here. I'm not greedy about my pixels or whatever. Like, I'll make a new character. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but it's the opposite. What is the opposite of that? The opposite of it is you're running, doing mount runs every day and trying to get new exciting mounts and transmogs and pets and stuff like that. And that, I'm not trying to hate on it. I'm just trying to.
It's okay. I hate transmog, and everybody gets on my ass about it. But I'm like, if you put it in, man, please make it client side toggle. Like, you could toggle it client side, which has to be fairly easy. Like, it's just, like, you've got all of the assets on your computer. Like, all they have to say is, like, I see toggle 1 or I see toggle 2, and one's transmog and one's regular. I really don't like transmog, but that's a whole different conversation. But
yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm a Diablo 2 player, and I hate transmog because of it.
And I like the graphics I like the old graphics more than I like the new revised graphics too. I don't know if I'm weird in that boat too, but I'm a boomer.
Just make it an interface option. Turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Do you want to see your helm? No. Do you want to see your other people's transmogs? No.
Yep. It's perfect. And then, I do think it'd be kind of fun for different things. Like, if somebody's going to do a competition, I would turn it on. But for the majority of the time, I would have it turned off, like that would be a happy place for me. But yeah, thank you for the voicemail. If anybody ever wants to send a voicemail in, it's 816-866-1066. All right, guys, what have you been doing lately in Wrath?
Raid logging. Believe it or not, I'm heavy raid logged.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Yeah. I don't know if you want to go into it more, Winky. I can talk a little bit more on it.
I mean, I can elaborate on it. I've done this for my entire WoW career. I'm a big fan of raid logger. We've been over this before on Warcraft Reloaded.
Oh yeah, I think raid logging is healthy in my opinion.
Yeah, I do. It severely lowers chance of burnout. I think that I'm a better guildmate to my guildies when I'm raid logging, because I'm guaranteed to be at every raid lockout for the entire phase. Instead of getting phase 1 bis and then not showing up for 5 weeks and then wondering why I don't get a raid spot when Old War comes out. It's just better in my opinion, like and go where the fun is, right? So right now the fun for me is not on Wrath. It's on the next segment that we're going to talk about. So I'm doing that. I'm still playing WoW. I'm still active every day, just about. I'm still streaming and doing all my fun stuff, but I'm just logging in, buying my flasks for 3 gold,
That's crazy, right?
Go in a raid, dude.
Dude, I flask for everything. Like I had to farm my Fell Striker, which I did get, everybody. I did get it. Run 127, got it. But
nice.
I flask for that because it's so cheap. Like I'm just like, well, I'm gonna go through this faster.
Yeah, you have no point to not flask right now. When you don't have a flask in raid, you're a bad raider at this point.
You're just lazy.
Go vendor 5 wool cloth and buy a flask on the auction house. Like,
oh man, such a different world. But you were gonna say something else, Kargoz?
I second Winky entirely. I think raid logging, but still making the raids and honoring your commitment to the other people that you wanted to play with is incredibly healthy and fine. And I don't think it really should be looked down on too much. Obviously, it would be better in a sense if you were to log in every day, do a heroic world tour and all that. But we're just being realistic here. For some people, like, you know, that level of hype and enjoyment isn't that sustainable. You do it, you get through that chapter. And, you know, if you're hard raid logging, but you're showing up on time, you're consumed, you're clearing the content, you're pleasant to be around, I think you're honoring your commitment fully to your guild and stuff like that. So I totally think it's good and healthy, like basically based on what Winky said. I'm doing the same. With that said, our guild's doing pretty good. We're on Sky Fury, which has been an interesting experiment looking at it. I don't know if the chat feels a certain way about the fresh server experiment from Blizzard. I think it went okay. I'm happy they did the fresh. I'm happy Blizzard is trying new things and everybody was really excited for it. But as I look and see the cookie crumbling, I'm not so sure they do fresh servers again for like a Cata or something like that. The server has been shrinking down pretty massively.
Really?
That's due to a couple of different things. One, the people that are drawn to a fresh server are you know, almost inherently going to be a little bit less committed to a server in particular, if that makes sense, right? That's the reason why they're going fresh and just happy to just go again, right? So that's almost the problem with the fresh mentality, where you're almost too quick to jump ship. So that's in one hand part of it. The other part of it was the server quickly, everyone's prediction about it and how it would develop. People were on all sides of the coin there, but it pretty much just turned into like a normal server extremely rapidly. There's still a bit of negative perceptions around doing GDKPs on the server, which in my opinion actually just makes the server feel weird. So because no one's doing GDKP and they're threatening to ban you in the world chat, it's just very weirdo chip. So people do GDKPs anyway because it's like telling water not to, you know, follow the rules of gravity. Like they're doing GDKPs, but they're doing it in like a weird hush way, like kind of like black market under wraps GDKPs. You can't transfer onto the server, but you can transfer off. So it's just giving people an off ramp from the fresh, and it's kind of just not really been that great how it's developed out. We're still having a good time. Our guild's still doing fine. We had 3 groups clearing per week. One was sort of like a pug-ish type of group that we do on weekends. Now we're down to 2. We put it on pause for the holidays, and I think Ulduar is going to be pretty exciting from the looks of it. I don't want to be all doom and gloom here. I've been watching people PTR it, and some of my friends who are really into raiding, like Sarth and Crix and them, like they're super hyped for it. They think it's, you know, it's going to be really challenging, and even the top guilds aren't going to be able to fully clap it out on day one.
It's looking scary. It's looking scary.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm answering your questions in extremely long-winded ways, but I'm just kind of rambling all the thoughts that are coming to my mind with regard to Wrath. So the fresh experiment's kind of like been meh. It's worked out, but a lot of churn, a lot of attrition there. Guild's doing fine. We're hard raid logging. We're trying to be better players than we were yesteryear. I think a lot of us are hopefully in that camp where they saw, you know, all of us have problems as players where we flake out in different ways or lose motivation or whatever. And I look back on TBC and vanilla and I think about what I could have done differently to have more enjoyment and to maintain relationships with other people better. So I'm trying to keep my head in the game longer with Wrath. I want to make it the whole way through. My traditional course is to go super hard, giga sweat on launch, go super hard and quit for the middle, then come back for the end. And I'm trying to break the cycle here and just try to be consistent all throughout.
We're close, Kargs. We're close. All you need is Ulduar to come out, then you'll be stoked to go to raid night again.
Yeah, I mean, the pros of Wrath are that it's incredibly. It's just Wrath is quality of life. It is so chill. You make money while raiding. The consumes cost nothing. You don't really have to do much at all to maintain, active characters. Loot is just dropping. There's just loot falling out of your earlobes. Everybody is just gigabissed out. At least for me, I don't care about the loot. Most people I know really don't even care about the loot. Kind of CBA, I'll get it the next week or the next 9 lockouts. There's just so much loot that I've never felt less attached to the loot. Like it's the carrot on a stick. It's pretty tiny with this
Weapons
one, but this is phase 1 though, right? And it's the same thing with phase 1 and TBCO. So a lot of these judgments, I'm trying to hold them back until we get into Old War and beyond to see how it goes. But I'll shut up now. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, I think for me, the loot doesn't matter either. It's really like for specifically playing a rogue, weapons really matter for me. And then my other main is a tank. So you just get, I've got like 2 slots, I think now that aren't BIS on my tank, like it's inherently easy to get geared as a tank. So like, yeah, it's the loot's not that big of a deal. And I don't know if it becomes a big deal later. Like I know it was a big deal to me back in the day, but really just weapons is where like my rogue really struggles if he doesn't have them. But yeah, I've always thought that raid logging is good. I think that's why I would burn out back in the day, because I was progression raiding 5 days a week, 5 to 8 hours a night. And that takes a toll on you big time. And so I like the way Classic works and being able to have that option. A new game comes out, I want to try it, like, and I can raid log, and then something new, the new instance comes out, the new raid, and then you're back into it for a few weeks. And I think that's super healthy, and it's a good thing. So I don't look down on it. That's one of the things why I didn't like retail, is you had to get on every day and a job and, to keep up. And I didn't like that. So.
Yeah. And then if you didn't get on every day, you just take 3 months off and show up, and there's catch up mechanics for you to get caught up to all the people who played 12 hours a day in 3 days.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Melanie,
well, at the start of each raid, they would have it just like completely, basically just because you're basically everything you did that raid before, like, just didn't matter, I guess, at that point. From the way I understand it, I don't want to speak too much on it because I just don't play it, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I think Blizzard needs to understand too. I mean, they're on a monthly subscription basis. It doesn't matter if we log in once a week or every day for 5 hours. Like, they make the same amount of money from us. And so I don't think adding in these different things that make us log in every day is really, it's burning people out more than I think it's generating more revenue.
Yeah, but the whole reason they started to do it was because the whole, I forget what Yip explained it one time, but it was like engagement metrics. And like, they were just trying to show their bosses that they were doing a good job instead of, actually trying to do a good job. But
yeah, it's how many hours are people logging per or per quarter, right, in game?
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had
with, like,
that.
YouTube and like watch hours and things like that.
I really wish we had that data though. Have you guys noticed, like, there's really no way? Blizzard's not very transparent with that data. Maybe rightfully so, because maybe it would hurt them financially. But just like in industries in the real world, you get people that there's companies that's all they do. They gather data and put together really comprehensive like industry analysis on various sectors and stuff. I feel like all of us have various judgments about the game, and some of us could be totally off base, some of us could be totally on base, but you have no way of knowing because you can't really see a lot of this data as far as what is the engagement, how many players are playing during Wrath versus TBC in phase 1. Right. I guess you probably could get some of it if you were to do a lot of collect a lot of Warcraft logs data. Maybe it's time somebody or an org does do that. But I don't know. Do you guys feel, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Do you think Wrath is performing better in phase 1 than TBC, or are you kind of on the same course?
I think
if you compare phase 1 to phase 1 of Wrath and TBC, I think Wrath is definitely doing better. But
I think it's killing it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Just because so many people are making alts and everything too, and then they threw out Joyous Journeys again, which is just big time, like to get people excited about working up a new character. And so, yeah, I
have friends that refuse to play alts, entirely refuse to play alts, and they're playing alts right now in Wrath. So it's like it's got to be doing really good.
Yeah,
really. It's like based on feeling, you know what I mean? Like I believe you guys. I actually kind of trust your guys' opinion more than my own because I can get in my own head a lot, and I don't really. I feel I've learned this over time. I feel like my own mentality on things is actually pretty different a lot of the times than a lot of other people's. And you know how you kind of like you assume other people view it in the same way. So like I think you guys are probably like right. Maybe it's doing really well, but you know people can be in all different stages with the game, right? Winky could be in a really like not enjoying Wrath at the moment type of feeling, or there's some people who are just absolutely loving it right now and they just can't get enough Wrath right now. They think it's the most fun thing ever.
Well, it depends on what you want. I think the guys that just want to raid and pump, like if we're talking about a Crix or like a Sarth, I think it's going crappy for them right now, right? You know what I mean? Like if they're not on PTR. But I think for someone like me who enjoys just going around and doing goofy shit, like for instance, what I did this week, me and it's just one of the nights, Classic Go's been working up a boomy on our server. So he was level 78. We took Addie in Texas, who's in the chat. She came on her priest, and then I came on my warrior, and we 3-manned Molten Core up to oh God, what's his name?
Rag?
No, right before Reg. Oh. General Domo. Major Domo. But then we got called in to do like, some of us got called in to do a Sarth 10-man burn, and then some of us got called in to do Malagos after because it's still dropping really good loot, and people still want that achievement and stuff, and so the burn's pretty hard to do on 10-man, and so we got called into that, and then some people came back with us, and then we 5-manned Major Domo and Ragnaros, and it was just kind of a funny like thing to do, you know, goofy, and not really a point to it, but like it was just fun, and so like yeah, so there's people like me that are just having a blast, but then you know, like it just depends on if rating's the only thing that you're kind of looking to do in Wrath.
Yeah, I mean, there's the PvP side too. Like I was playing pretty actively at the beginning of the season, but I have my own issues with it, and there was some fun with it as well. It's hard to say across everything in the game, right? When it comes to either rating or leveling or PvP or even role play or whatever people are into, you know what I mean? Like to get an accurate sense of how all the different buckets are doing is hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I haven't been into PvP at all in Wrath, and it's weird because I was super into it both in Classic and really into it in TBC, and I was thinking about it the other day, and I think I know why I just haven't really jumped in. I think it's because I went from a server that was 60-40, then 70-30, you know, horde outnumbering alliance, and like I got ganked all the time. I think that like drove me to go into BGs and wipe some freaking horde, you know, like just whoop up on some horde. And now that I only see horde every great once in a while, I'm like, it's a leprechaun. Oh, I don't want to hurt this poor leprechaun. You know, like it's just like my whole mentality's changed. So like, yeah, like I don't know why, because I did PvP and Wrath back in the day, but I just have, you know, not got into it. And there's a whole learning curve every time you get into a new expansion and, you know, everything else. Like, but yeah, it's definitely weird.
It's definitely a learning curve. That's for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, for what I've been doing, I've just been, you know, I was farming the Fell Striker, and luckily I got it right before a hardcore event we're going to talk about soon started up. I got it like the night before. It was run 127, and yeah, I finally got it. And guys, I went ahead and got the Spell Blade too. went ahead and enchanted both of them. And yeah, it does do a lot of AoE damage, guys. I can't wait to try it in a 25-man raid, but I've tried it in 10 and like, it's just nuts. Like, so looking forward to that, but then just been kind of helping Go level up and been doing like old TBC heroics because the rogue never did them. So it's just like trying to knock out achievements and check boxes. But and then of course raiding, and you know that's really all I've been doing. I think Mel's the same way. She's not at the computer at the moment, but she was out of town a lot of the week. She got to raid, but that's really all she's been able to do, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, she has started to tank more in our 25-man that I main tank in, and her tank paladin's getting pretty geared. It's
let's go, Mel.
Pretty cool.
I remember
to see.
when she was talking about starting tanking, she was kind of scared to do 5-man.
Yeah, well, I mean, she kicks the crap out of 5-mans now, and so we're doing 25, and so I think she might even get to take like she's been taking trash mostly, but I think she might get to maybe move into the second tank spot because the other guy, Fabulous, he's like a take it or leave it, type of deal, and he's a druid, so he might be ended up going boomy or something. But yeah, that's really all we've been doing. If you have anything to add, Mel.
Nope. I raided on Tuesday and then I went out of town. So.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into
time for the news.
So I just added this in. I can't believe I forgot to put it in the notes, but the King returns. Chris Metzen returns to Blizzard as as a creative advisor.
Yeah,
that is a thing.
It's not a huge role, right? Creative advisor could be very light touch. It could be you never know what's going on there, right? He could still be full-time working on wasn't he working on like a tabletop or some sort of collectible line?
I thought so.
Gaming or some other thing. He had a bunch of projects going. I don't know the health of those. Maybe they wrapped up. Maybe they closed up shop. It didn't work out. Maybe just a lot of questions, right? Like immediate thing that came to my mind when we were talking about Kata earlier was, if I recall correctly, Chris Metzen was actually kind of the brainchild. Him and one other dude was the brainchild behind the whole idea of a cataclysm. They thought it sounded really awesome on paper.
Yeah, he made it sound really awesome at BlizzCon. I remember we were like, "Whoa, this is going to be so cool."
Yeah, and then obviously most people it was really poorly received. But I was thinking to myself, like, if Chris Metzen rejoined the team, and then he comes back and redoes Cataclysm, and then Blizzard leans into it and goes, "We got the guy who did the original Cataclysm. He had a lot of time to think about it, and he's here to try to, redo the Cataclysm in a different way," or so. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I don't
shit!
know.
I didn't even think about that correlation.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It sounds almost like he's like being contracted, right? Like, I feel like
he's double dipping for sure.
Yeah.
Right. The typical you leave the company for X amount of years and then you come back as an advisor and get twice as much money.
Well, I believe he's been gone for like over 6 years, and I remember his reasoning for leaving when he left, and it was because he wanted to spend more time with his kids. Well, over 6 years now, I wonder if his kids are getting to the age where they're like, "Dad, I want to spend more time with my friends," type of deal. I don't know. This is total shot in the dark guess. I don't even know how old some kids are, but it could be that type of deal, And then he's like, "Well, I got to do my stuff back now because, they don't, I mean, so that's just a total guess, like completely no research there. I just wonder if he's feeling the itch to get back and really seen Classic take off and maybe just wants to like get in on the party. But yeah, I have no clue, but it was a cool thing to see because he was definitely a big part of Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, some of my favorite games of all time. So
absolutely. It would have been different though, right? Like if he came on as game director or something, right? And
Get out of here, Ian.
Ian is done, and it's him. Like that's a big splash right there. Then you're in Donkey Kong country,
right? And everybody's sticking around. We're like, what's happening?
Donkey Kong.
Yep. And I can't get too excited because I don't know what he's going to get in on. I don't know. Like, I don't think, I recently played the retail launch because Blizzard was kind enough to give me a free copy and send me a nice little box of goodies. And so I'm definitely trying it out, and I'm going to be guesting on WoW Talk, a retail podcast, Monday. So if anybody wants to check that out, you should check it out. It should be out later on in the week. But I just don't know what they could do to retail to actually bring me back, man. Like, it's just like so much is different, and they've killed off so many characters. I was watching all the stuff, all the I'm blanking, all the cut scenes and finding out certain people are dead, and I'm like, huh, what? Like, it's just so wild, like crazy. I mean, they do him well, but like, I just don't know what could actually bring it back. So if he's coming back for retail, I don't know how big it is, but I did get goosebumps when I first found out. So, and I think for people that do play retail and are into it big time, this could be really cool for them also.
Yeah. I mean, it just says World of Warcraft and then expand to other projects. So, maybe that's Classic Plus. Just saying.
Maybe. But in other news, the Winter's Veil has started, and just like all of the other holiday stuff, I'm actually doing it for the first time just because it has achievements in it. And so yeah, I just want to let everybody know that has started and runs till I believe December 6th. It might be 5th, but yeah, if you want all the January, sorry.
January 2nd. It runs until January 2nd.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so if you want to get in on that, there's quite a bit to this one. So you might want to start early if you are going for that What a Long Strange Trip achievement. So yeah, we'll have all the details in the show notes for anybody that wants to do that. But I assume Winky and Kargoz, you're not really into those. I never was.
Achievements or the Winter Veil?
Just the holiday events in general.
Go ahead, Winky.
So I am into them. Don't get me wrong. I've always liked doing the what is it, the Halloween event to try and get the mounts, and then the Brewfest stuff, right? But I'm interested in hearing people's perspective on this. Maybe someone wants to call in for the next show. I don't care about achievements in the slightest on Classic.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't.
And I think it's because I have my permanent trophy character on retail that I did these achievements on in Wrath for the first time it came around, right? So like the way I look at Classic is like, these are characters I'm eventually going to either delete or just keep as a trophy character of a remembrance of the second time I played through Wrath, right? But I just don't necessarily have the same attachment that I do to maybe my retail current characters from when I was an actual kid, where I actually went in and I got the Immortal achievement. I got, all these other achievements that were a bigger deal for me back then because it was the current iteration of the game.
Yeah.
So
See, I never had time
people's
for
perspective on it.
Yeah, I never had time to do. I did the raid achievements, but I never had time to do all the other stuff because I was always raiding. Never doing anything else.
It's the same with mounts too. Like, I would never grind a Baron Rivendare mount on vanilla. But what I would do is grind it on my retail character.
Interesting.
I like the achievements a lot. I think they're really cool. I mean, I don't pursue them myself, but I'm really, truly, genuinely happy that people do like them, and it gives them a reason to play, and it broadens our community and attracts more people. And I think it's amazing. The thing about achievements that I like is that it gives the players more of an ability to sandbox the game and the community and the servers and all that. And I'm not exactly sure if I'm using the term correctly, but what I mean by that is it gives you, like, you could do community events around the achievements and use the idea that you have an achievement or don't as a mechanic in that event or something like that, right? It just gives you more complexity to the game and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool from that perspective. And even like with the hardcore stuff, the achievements are nice on that front. I think you can actually, those achievements track deaths and stuff like that as well. So, just making further making the hardcore stuff legit because the achievements are in place and you can track deaths, I think is really cool. And like you can spawn other communities out of it as well. But to answer your question with the Winter's Veil, I love Christmas time in WoW and Winter's Veil. It's incredibly cozy with the gnome transmogrifiers. When I first started playing WoW back in the day in 2004, I started playing during the holiday event, and my very first taste of World of Warcraft was watching people get eggs to go make the gingerbread cookies and seeing all the holiday stuff up. So,
guys, I think last Christmas we were playing hardcore, and we got the elf, right? Your little like elf friend, and then we died. And the most depressing thing about dying was that I lost my elf and I couldn't get it again.
Christmas was over at that point.
You killed the elf, Mel.
I killed the elf.
That was when we died at level 35. The Efson chap clip where I was AFK and Mel ran through the barn.
Thanks, Bob.
God.
So I guess I could echo that, what Kargoz just said. I'm a huge statistics nerd. I love any statistics on anything. Shout outs to my homies on the Reddit/r data is beautiful. Like, I love anything that has to do with graphs, data, information about my character. So that's my favorite thing about the achievement system in Wrath is that I can open it up and I can be like, oh, cool. I've done 200,000 more damage than last time I looked at this. Or like, it's just a cool thing for me to be able to see like totals, like overall. I love it when games have a stats sheet for your character. It's just the coolest thing ever for me.
Yep. Okay, well, all right, well, let's move into
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
Okay, so for this week, we're talking all about hardcore, and we're talking about with some of the OGs that started this whole classic thing going. You know, I know it was a group thing, but kind of the way I want to go through this is, first off, I'm gonna like try and get, how it all began, like how the hardcore push began, and then I'm gonna want to talk about, like when it started, some stuff from the past, maybe a little bit of, talking about Road to Rag, any fun stories. And then I want to play the voicemails. And then I want to talk about the current event and everything going on, the new add-ons to the add-on itself with achievements and everything else. All right, let's get into it. Kargoz, I remember when you first started talking about this on Good Morning Azeroth. Do you want to give us a little background of how this all started? And Winky, of course, jump in whenever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has been, all I can say about it is it's been very organic, all of it. And like, I've been doing startups and entrepreneurial type of things my whole life. And there's sometimes when things feel like it's forced or it's pulling teeth. And you've seen that with various like esports and stuff have you ever seen companies try to make a game and force it to be an esport, but there's kind of no love or passion for it. There are things that feel more forced. Hardcore has been extremely organic. It's just been a snowball that's been building up, and more people have been joining the snowball, and it's been amazing. I mean, the origins of it started with, I believe one day on stream, I just was trying the Iron Man stuff for the first time. And that's a rule set that's been around even longer. And realized, hey, this is really fun. Like, one life, playing the game in one life isn't really something that people think about much with WoW. It's more of a Diablo thing or whatever. And we kind of realized as a group, everybody that was watching too, man, this really changes a lot. Like it's so refreshing. You view the game entirely different. The meta that we know and love is shred to pieces. And
I just got a 6-slot bag.
Exactly. I mean, like unironically picking up food and drink crates off the ground and managing your inventory and resources in a different way because you have one life. It's all just very exciting. It was like Lewis and Clark going into a whole new, piece of land or something, and you have so much to explore, and everything was new. How high can somebody get with one life? Can you do this profession with one life and with solo self-found? That's the other piece. It's not just one life, right? It's solo self-found rule set, which the Iron Man stuff didn't really quite have a solo self-found rule set. I guess it did, but you can pretty much only use white and gray items. And we were thinking, man, the whole fun of Classic is some of the cool items and buffs and consumables. And like we kind of need to change this around to be more congruent with Classic and Vanilla. So we did so as a community and came up with our own rule set just organically. And that's how it all started, man. And through the power of like streaming and people collaborating, it grew and grew. And it became a very like wholesome grassroots community. That Winky's a big Smash guy, and he draws a lot of parallels to Smash and how that came to be. We picked up more and more steam, and back in the day, in those early days, even getting to level 20 was something everybody would be really impressed by. Like getting to level 25, 30. How much further can you go? 40. Can you do ZF one life? Can you do Blackrock Depths one life? There's no way we could do Blackrock Depths one life, right? Oh my God, we did Blackrock Depths one life. There's no way we Elber's one life, right? Okay, now we do that, and it's like Lewis and Clark. You're in a canoe going into a whole new uncharted waters, and it was incredibly fun. And that's really the origins of it. And met awesome people like Winky and Grays and I. We really solidified our friendship through it. And then it grew and grew. And then the most ambitious project we had was that Road to Rag. That's when the community really grew to like quite a large scale. We timed it alongside Season of Mastery, and it was really the culmination of years in the space in Classic, getting to know most of the people that have been here from the jump of it since BlizzCon announcement. And it was like a rallying cry. It was the Horn of Gondor. We blew that loud. I tapped into every resource I had. I know a lot of other people did too. And we tried to bring everyone back to vanilla and to try to do something unprecedented. The idea of a one life mortal raid, killing Ragnaros with one life, doing the entire Prebis phase. It felt genuinely so real and so ambitious, and a collaboration unlike anything I've ever seen before. Hundreds. Yeah, it's probably hundreds, right, Winky? I don't know, like 100 creators or something all coming together. Thousands of players playing to try to do this, and it felt
even created creators too.
Yeah, and it's my proudest, happiest, most stressful at the same time gaming memory, doing the Road to Rag stuff. And it felt like we were able to take vanilla and look at it from a new angle, and it felt real and dangerous. And we did it, and there was a lot of hardship. It was like from the outside looking in, I can only imagine as a viewer, it must have been like watching a reality TV show or something, watching all the drama and the griefing and the appeals and the excitement, the death clips. We had this great add-on. That's one thing I really love about the Classic community, that there are so many smart and talented people like you and Mel and so many other people, engineers, scientists, doctors, police officers, people from all walks of life, where they're working professionals with amazing hard skills, and they're very well capitalized as well. And they just love this game. It's the game of their childhood. It's the game of their life. And they come together and they focus their powers into one thing, and then insane things happen. Like, we're the most over-engineered community relative to our size, like in all of gaming, possibly, with regard to the add-on, the site, and then the entire infrastructure of the mod team and everything that's gone into it over the years, and how sophisticated the add-on is now. But there's an incredible experience, and we ended up doing it and killing Ragnaros with one life. And then people were so stressed out, they were so burned out, myself included, that people were like, "Oh, I'll never do it again. Like, that was amazing. I'll cherish those memories forever, but I'm done." And people walked away. And some people carried on continuing to play hardcore and TBC and in Wrath and stuff, and I salute those people. But a lot of people walked away for a while. But that burnout, it took about a year. That was 1 year ago to the day, pretty much, that Road to Rag happened. People are starting to feel fine again and miss hardcore, and they realize, like, you know, enough time has passed and the ideas marinated in their minds long enough to, like, you know what, that was so fun. I miss the community more than anything, and we're coming back to it right now and building it back up again.
Well, just talking about hardcore, you talked about early on, you know, you get to level 20, level 30, and people are like, whoa. And now, you know, people are making up their own challenges, naked challenge and not get hit once challenge and all these different things. Like, but I always said I enjoy watching people do it, but I'm never going to do it. Then Road to Rag, I did end up doing it, and it's crazy how much better of a player it makes you. It's also the sole reason that I stream now. Like, I was always uncomfortable streaming, playing, and I wanted everything to be on record, even though with the add-on, you didn't need to anymore. I just wanted to have it there. So it was like, yeah, dude, it's the record's there. And so I ended up getting comfortable streaming, and now I just stream pretty much anytime I play the game. Like, I almost never play without streaming. So there was that too. So many different things you learn, and learning from other people in the community. Like, you know, oh shit, you can actually go buy this really good white weapon from just the shop in town. I didn't even know. I've never bought a weapon from a shop. Like, this is crazy, you know, and like, just so many different things you learn. You get better and better, and then each run after is a little bit easier, and you go a little bit faster, a little bit more crazy. You learn so many hard lessons, like, don't jump off of this cliff with a epic mount. Make sure you're on a regular mount if you want to jump off at this angle. You know, like, so many things, and that's what I've thought is just really cool. It made me a better player, like, I mean, tenfold.
Bob, I'm in game right now during this podcast, and I just farmed since the start of this podcast until right now. I killed a bunch of stuff to vendor, and then I just ran and found Antonio Pirelli and bought an executioner's sword. This is something that you would only ever do in hardcore.
Yep.
Right? But it's so gratifying to have an executioner's sword at level 18 and a half, almost level 19. It's that alone is, you should play hardcore just for that. Right. Yeah. Just to get that feeling.
I'd say one of the biggest draws as well to it is it reminds you of the older, like, man, it's hard to articulate, but when you're playing just the normal standard issue metagame right now, it's pretty sweaty. It's almost, man, it's hard to explain, but when you play hardcore, it reminds you of how people used to play games as well. Well, and
it kind of changed the way I play Wrath and TBC too. Like unless I'm in raid, I expect I'm going to die in raids and stuff. But like, I was really proud that I died. Like, I think I died, like, I might have died twice, but I think I only died once while working up my rogue, right? And I was actively trying to do that because it was a cool thing to do, because and it wasn't like a challenge, but it made me play the game differently. Like, I don't accept dying, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off though.
No. I mean, I think that's great feedback as well. I mean, have you ever heard that quote too, that the game publisher has an obligation to protect the players from themselves as well? That's a small piece of it, not a huge part of the equation, but tons of people like swipe these days and pay for boosts and whatever. Like they're just buying the 55 boost or 65 boost, and I'm all for that stuff too. Like I enjoy the standard issue meta as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm rating on 3 characters right now in Wrath, and I'm going to play all of Wrath. So I'm not trying to hate on that way of playing. It's its own vibe, and I enjoy that as well. But the way you would approach modern, standard issue metagaming of a new expansion or server is you go super hard. You're running your own GKPs. You're not going to go out and just level out in the open world. You're going to go get it boosted in some capacity. You're going to take the path of least resistance, as people normally do. And all I'm saying is, with hardcore, like the rules of it and stuff like that and how it all goes, it kind of like protects you from yourself in a way. Like there's no like swiping, there's no botting, there's no boosting, there's no GGKBs, there's no real like, you're not fiending over the pixels at all. You could die at any level and you just have to delete and go again. So you're not too attached to your character. You're there for the experiences. You're there for the community. So that is a draw to it, I would say.
That's a hard lesson learned early on, though. Those first few deaths, you're like, just like Mel with the little gnome pet. Like that really fucked with us. We were like, but that was our good luck charm. The little gnomes following us. Like, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You get better at it as you go, but sometimes it's hard to stomach, and you're just like so upset, but like it's a good learning experience, and yeah, I'm all for it.
It is, yeah. It makes WoW feel like pretty visceral too, in the sense where it feels more real. It feels like there's something that it's not just all positive reinforcement. Like you can lose stuff, there can be tragedy, you can. Yeah, it brings more emotions into the mix, and you have incredibly vivid memories about things you really would not even care about normally. Like you're vested into the game. You feel empathy. You're dialed in. You're paying attention. You're not just kind of like pressing your buttons and floating through. I have memories about every like hollowed pixel in every zone in the old world, man. I could look at any, like not any, but most, quest mob in Duskwood or Red Ridge or the Barrens or Stone Talon. I could think of a memory. And a lot of times those are attached to hardcore because you have these close calls where you almost die, or you saw somebody die, or you had a big highlight in some area. So that's a piece of it as well. And then the other draw, I think, is it almost feels like you're on a camping trip and you don't have much to do in a way. Like you're there, you have like someone brought some, like a deck of playing cards. Somebody brought, Settlers of Catan with them. And somebody brought some random things, and you're sandboxing. You're sandboxing in the game. Like you have this almost static game that everyone knows and loves. When you're trying to find new ways to play it together, you're trying to like almost see the good in the game and come up with new ways to play it, and supporting people. Because you have this static game. This is all we kind of have with hardcore right now at the moment, at least in era. And we're finding new ways to play it, right? Like we're just looking for reasons to play it. So people are coming up with new challenges, the no-hit stuff. Only using one school of magic. And it feels like everybody's at a party and you're just trying to be good company to the other people at the party. And not doom and gloom them about whatever. So
I think one of the things I miss the most about Good Morning Azeroth is your analogies. Your analogies are out of this world good, dude. I just love them.
Yeah, Kargoz does. He is known for a pretty good analogy here.
Oh man, yeah. So like, do you want to give any fun stories before we listen to this voicemail? Any fun stories, man? There's a million.
Have two of the worst people on this call right now to ask about stories from hardcore.
Well, just give us just
thousands of stories.
Of course you do, but just pick out one or two,
Right, so here's one that I'll throw Kargoz under the bus here. Jamin threw a dueling tournament once. And it was, you had to get to level 10 within a time frame and then get prepared to duel to the death. And the winner was going to get, I think it was $2,000 or something like that, cash.
Wow.
Our good friend Kargoz here plays a hunter, and he is running against the clock to get to the area he has to be in time. Did not have time to feed his pet. So he's running to the dueling tournament with his pet, his Plane Strider, that is so mad at him, it stops becoming his friend anymore, becomes an aggressive animal, and kills him.
Yeah, you can't get feed pet until you turn in the quest in the capital city, and you had to be at a certain spot by a certain time or you're DQ'd. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to run and use this pet for as long as possible.
My God.
It's going to turn on me at some point. Yeah, it turned on me.
But it was crazy because it turned on you and you were at like 10% health already when it turned on you, and it just clapped your ass.
Oh my God.
I realized I had no shot at winning, so I let it take me out.
Yeah, that's for the clip.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's a lot of stories. I remember we did a dungeon run with some of my favorite times in hardcore was like 2.5 years ago. We did dungeons with a static group because the community was pretty small back then. So It was me, Kargoz, Nom Nom HC, Kigo, and who was the other? I think we kept swapping someone in and out for the last position on the squad. And Kigo's character Greta kept dying. So we would run the dead mines. Kigo would die. Kigo would have to level another mage 1 to 24. Then we're going to go do Wailing Caverns. Kigo would die after Wailing Caverns. Level another mage 1 to 26. Then we go do SFK. And we did every dungeon in the game up to Uldaman in the 40s. Kigo was a level 50 mage in Uldaman, and he died because I was healing and I was reading chat.
Oh man,
Winky.
we ran Moradon during the Road to Rag event, and we were bound and determined to do all of the quests, right? Well, we missed a couple things, but it was a scary dungeon. Like one of the times, you know, where like, you know, depending on what side you come in, it's the big room with like the water, and there's the boss up top, and then you go down and it's heading towards the waterfall, and there's the boss, the centaur boss, or not a centaur, but it's got a horse body or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so on top of that platform, not on the side with the boss, but the other side, there's these mobs that knock you down, right? And we accidentally pulled 2 of them in our group, and the whole group almost died. The tank was down to 5 health at one point, got a lay on hands from the pally. The warlock was running all over, fearing stuff. I'm a rogue. I'm just trying to gouge and just trying to not, kill everything fast, but make sure that we're I'm trying to, blind whatever I can. It was crazy, but we get through the whole thing, and we're at the last boss.
Rogue. We all remember the rogues in hardcore that saw the writing on the wall and just vanished. And the hunters that feigned death.
And I did vanish at first, but then I came out of it because I felt the need to help, right? I could have just been like, yo, bros, too spicy for me, rogue life out. But I didn't, because I felt like this urge to protect them like you would in real life. You don't want your buddy died, or even someone you just met. You go into the dungeon. And so
100%, man. I died yesterday doing the same thing, bro. You feel an attachment and camaraderie to the people playing. And it's because you feel like a fledgling underdog community. And during Road to Rag, we got to a point where we had so many players playing that hardcore felt like actually very big and didn't feel very underdog community vibe. It felt like almost like a massive corporation or something, just a little bit, there's hundreds, thousands of players playing.
It was funny to see somebody who wasn't a hardcore player, and they hated all of us. But
and it's incredibly easy to hate on stuff that does not feel like an underdog. If it feels like the mainstream, it's incredibly easy to hate on something. And we got a ton of friction during the event, and that's its own thing. But I just to go back to what you were saying, I think that's one of my favorite parts about hardcore is that WoW. I don't know how people feel about the overall WoW community. I've heard from others that people think WoW is kind of toxic. It's always been okay for me. I've never really thought it was overly toxic, but I think hardcore brings out the best in a lot of people, more so than it brings out the worst. You feel a camaraderie and attachment to other players. You want to save them. You want to put them first in some way in certain situations, right? And and then on a broader note, you feel like you're part of an underdog community that's in uncharted waters trying to build this game mode up, and you're fighting for something too. That's another thing that unites people is when they feel like they're working towards or fighting towards something. And pre-classic, in the private server community, and the discussion in world chat raging at any time was do you think Blizzard will ever do legacy servers? Then they finally announced legacy servers. It felt like a saga. It felt like, the community had won something that it was fighting for so long. And I think that's why the hype pre-classic was so strong, man, because of those vibes. And now classic is sort of just a mainstream thing. And some of that is missing now, right? If you look at the Wrath community.
Yeah. Well, just the end of that story, though, for anybody who doesn't know, the rule set is you can only run each dungeon once, and you have to run it with other hardcore people. You can't have someone who's not a hardcore in, right? So these were the rule sets for Road to Rag. Things might change later on, I don't know. But either way, that's why we wanted to get all the quests done. So we get to the end of the dungeon, and we realize we missed one of those dudes that you have to get for the 5 guys that you have to turn in, and it's a pretty big quest. And we're like, crap. Well, and we weren't sure, but we'd heard if you were like if everybody was out of the dungeon for more than 5 or 10 minutes, the dungeon resets. And at that point, it'd be a new dungeon, and we would be breaking the rules coming back in. So everybody's like, well, we could hearth and just go back to the start. And I was like, well, where's your guys' hearth? And they're like, oh, well, it's way over here, way over here. So they're going to have to get back to me, right? I just volunteer. I'm like, hey, well, I used to do stealth runs all the time when I, back in real vanilla with a rogue and two druids. I'll just stealth back to the start while you guys are getting back here, and I'll get to the guy. And they're like, you're crazy. And it was one of the most scary things that I've done, like just making my way all the way back through all of the mobs, and I made it back in the group. I had just met them, but they were like,
felt more real and visceral.
Yeah. And these guys were like, you were a legend, Bob. Like the other rogue was like, I don't want to stay. I was like, dude, bro, you're fine. Go on. I got this.
I feel like with hardcore, there's definitely shining moments where if you're a challenge gamer or you're a challenge runner of games, you can really create memories for yourself. Like, I'm a huge challenge gamer. Like I love, no death, Dark Souls runs. I'm currently doing like a Soul Level 1 Elden Ring run right now. I love challenge gaming. I think if I had to describe myself as a gamer, it would just be I am a challenge gamer. Like that's just what I like to do. And with hardcore, like most of my memories are things that are like where you set a specific challenge for yourself, and there's so much on the line because if you delete it, you're losing hundreds of hours, right?
Yeah.
So I did like on my rogue, it was the last run I did on Classic Era before Psalm came out. I kited King Bang on a rogue with double frost oil on my weapons and gouge kiting all the way up Stranglethorn, up the road to the camp to the Alliance camp, right? Well, on the border of Duskwood.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I wanted to at level 39. It was just a challenge I set for myself, right? And I will never forget how good it felt to like kill King Bang in a weird way with a rogue. Because I was relying on RNG of like, okay, I need my frost oil weapon to proc and shoot a frost bolt at this guy to slow him by 40%. And if not, I have to gouge. And if gouge gets resisted, I'm literally screwed. I have evasion and vanish. Then I have to wait 10 minutes and try it again.
Yep.
And it was just the most fun thing ever. It's just like the hardcore makes like it's easy to make those memories with hardcore, right?
Mm-hmm. And one of the best experiences, I ran most dungeons going up with both of my characters that made it to 60, and just the groups that I got in was just the most pleasant. Everybody gets in Discord. Everybody's like willing to explain any fight you might not know about. I mean, the most refreshing groups I've ever been in my entire life.
Incentives are actually aligned to do that, right? Like if you were to play just a normal Wrath right now and make a new character, and you said the people you want to run Dead, first of all, you probably couldn't even find people to run Dead Mines. But if you tried to run Dead Mines and you said, yo, you guys want to go go in Discord, it would feel like weird, right? Like you'd be like, why? Yeah. We're just in Discord.
No,
but because there's something to lose, it's not only to gain, and you want to protect your own character and protect other people's characters. Like people feel compelled in their own brain, they run the equation and they go, it's actually worth it to be in Discord. I should be nice to these people. Like I'm kind of counting on them to keep me alive. You know what I mean? It's like,
yep. Yeah. The only time you see low level stuff in Wrath or in remains to be seen in Wrath now. I bet it's going on, but in TBC when they put out Joyous Journeys, it was great because you were actually able to find groups that were appropriate level for dungeons rather than just jumping in with your friend running you through, you know. So, but yeah, I just thought, like, there's so many things, and if you can always tons of stories if you ever really want to dive in. Like, there's a big archive of Fs and chat, and yeah, there's a lot to see there. We'll get links from Winky and stick them in the notes for you.
We have about we have like 150 episodes on YouTube now.
God.
Of just straight watching people die in hardcore, talking about the sense of community, talking about the game mode, talking about the future of the game mode. It's really cool if you go back to season 1 and listen to me and Graves for Days and Kargoz talk about the community, where we're at currently, what we want to see out of the community. Wouldn't it be cool if these things could be happening? And then go to like the most recent episode, and it's like, we've got an add-on now. Our community's got like 40,000 active people. It's literally insane how much it's grown, and it's all just based off of the love of the community, the love of classic WoW, and the love of deleting your character when you die, which is such a weird concept, right, to think about.
Right.
But it's why I was in guild chat today playing this morning when I woke up, and someone in guild chat on hardcore. By the way, all the guild chats are linked. We have several guilds now, and if you just log in with the most recent version of the update, you can talk to any of the guild chats. Just /G. It shows all the hardcore guilds in one guild chat.
Super cool.
Oh, that's cool.
It's super cool. So,
yeah, they've been adding a lot of new features to it. I mean, that's another like unique selling point of the hardcore stuff, is that is an underserved bucket. As we talked about earlier, there's PvPers, there's raiders, there's people who are into RP. There's also people who really just enjoy leveling a lot in the game, and they view it as they want that to be more of a thing. And hardcore really enables that. It gives those people a platform. It gives them a reason to roll new characters, right? Like, if you're just playing normally and you have a max level hunter, you know, why do you want to make a new hunter? For what? Like, your own brain is telling you, why are you going to waste your time and make a new one? You have a perfectly good max level one. But, you know, in a meta where you're dying and deleting, and that there's different challenges to do, it just gives people a reason to play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to get in and talk about the add-on, and, you know, that's one of the cool things that they're doing. So before we do that, let's just do the voicemails, guys.
Oh boy.
Great.
Hey, Bob and Mel, it's Table Slam, your old pal. Just wanted to ask you something, since you have a good amount of experience with the hardcore scene. I need a little advice for my current run on hardcore. I can't figure out if I should take it real seriously and actually try and get to 60, or if I should take a bunch of unnecessary risks for the entertainment value of failing spectacularly and dying to the dumbest thing imaginable. Just kind of wondering what your take on it is, and what you think would be a good way for me to go about my very first hardcore run. Thanks, and looking forward to your response.
I think you take it very seriously, and you're going to die in the dumbest, most unusual way possible anyways.
I think just depends.
The entertainment value of watching somebody play hardcore is that they are taking it seriously and they don't want to die, right? Like, if they don't care, it's not really as fun to watch, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it is 100% authentic. You should take every run that you ever play seriously. Trust me, the entertainment value comes with taking your run seriously.
And seeing the like color go out of your face when you walk back to your gnome who was creating Mooncloth, and he is drowned in a pool of water 1 foot deep in Dalaran. Like,
shout outs
not
to
Dalaran, whatever.
Darnassus.
Shout outs to Dirty Randy, who that actually happened to at level 60.
Yep.
But there's like, always treat your run authentic. Try to get to 60, because one, let's say here's the example. You are a content creator, right? Let's say you want to be a content creator. Let's say you want a hype clip or something like that, right? Anything that you plan is not going to be good, right? If you want good hardcore content, it's better to get to a high leveling zone where there's less people, so that people want to watch you because you have a lot more on the line, right? Throwing characters away for content is one of my biggest pet peeves on the planet Earth. And it's so I am the king of death clips. Okay. I've seen hundreds and hundreds and probably like 10,000 death clips, probably more.
Yeah, Winky's run our community podcast for the last like couple of years that goes over death clips. So he's definitely the connoisseur.
Expert.
You can 100% tell when something is crafted.
Mm-hmm.
You just know. You watch it and you're like, this is stupid. Like, what the hell? But the authenticity is what makes them good, you know?
Yeah.
Which is really, for instance, Peo is live currently right now as we speak. Just died at level 5 to Gold Tooth.
No way. He's doing hardcore right now, streaming it?
He's streaming hardcore right now. 2,200 people.
Shot, bro. That's crazy.
Yep, he just straight up died.
Is he having fun?
He's been dying all day. Oh, wow. He looks like he's not. He just died.
He just died. Nobody's having fun after they die.
Yeah. But yeah, and we talked to Table Slam, by the way, yesterday on the cast. We did the fresh event, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to pull Table Slam up, and I'm glad he called in and asked the questions. Never ever go for dumb things unless you're okay deleting your character, and you want to add an additional level of challenge to yourself.
Yeah,
never do it to intentionally die or anything like that. Don't
get in what Winky calls the shadow zone.
That was coined by Nom Nom HC, the shadow zone.
Oh, see, it's something that I fell into. I got my first rogue to like level 29, I think. Got killed by those little bastards in South Shore, the little assassins. And then I ran into a pack of Murlocs. I had so many things I could have done differently that would have survived. But then my next character got to like 23 and I drowned. And then my next character got to like I don't know, like 17 or something. And then I was stealthed in a cave and fell off too far and came out of stealth. And then my next character died at 8, and I was like, okay, I need to center myself here because I am going backwards. And then my next run, Bob? 60.
Do you want a tip for when you're in the shadow zone on how to get out of the shadow zone?
Sure.
This is a proprietary Winky blend of how to get out of the shadow zone tips. Name your character something other than Blazin' Bob or Bobby something or whatever. Give your character an RP name, like make a dwarf and name it like Crowder Arm or some weird name, right? Like give it an RP name, right? And invest in your character.
I'll call him Winky.
Yes, literally. it is how you get out of the shadow zone. And I've done it a lot because there's times where I'm in the shadow zone and I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? Name your character, not Winky something. Name it something that you would never name a character, and invest in the story of your character, because that's what it comes down to with hardcore. Sounds kind of cringe, right? RPing and stuff, but just invest in yourself, and you'll take your run 10 times more seriously, and you'll have more fun, right? You'll stop thinking of like your
professions.
Yeah. You'll stop thinking of like min-maxing and like, oh, I have to get back to where I was because I died at level 25 and I got to get back there as soon as I can, right? Nope. Take your time. Go spend 5 minutes fishing in the moonlight because you think it looks cool, right? go do stuff like that, and you'll take your run way more seriously, and it'll be way more fun, and you'll get out of the shadow zone.
And don't drink while you play.
Vale, when we got back to Stranglethorn Vale, where the mobs were that we died on, I was like, how badly do we need this quest? Because I'm good if we don't do this quest ever again. Like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah, so definitely. You definitely don't need to do every quest in the game either. You don't be afraid to just sit there and be like, okay, Questy says this gives me 4,000 XP. I get 300 XP per kill. I'll kill 20 mobs, and skip that quest. That's fine with me.
We love rested XP guides, discount code reloaded. But at the same time, if you want to follow it to the T, make sure you are extremely good at the class you are playing. It definitely
I talked to Tactics about it this morning. I talked to Tactics this morning about that exact issue. Because a lot of people have been whispering Tactics they're mad at him because he wrote the guide.
No.
And there's a hardcore version, right? You toggle it over to hardcore. So Tactics said when he wrote the hardcore version of RXP, he was assuming that you would be 3 levels ahead of the guide before you even start it. So in the starting zone, when you make a character, if you're going to follow RXP, grind to level 3. It takes 20 minutes.
He's thrown some new things in, because I just did I'm doing my run, and like it's quite a bit different, where he'll like literally comes up and says, and there were some of this in there before, but it appears to be a lot more, hey, grind to this before moving on to the next.
Because he wants to make sure you're amply like over leveled before you.
It's funny when there's things. It's like, this is a very hard quest. You can't skip.
Well, and keep in mind too, these guys are speedrunners. They wrote a guide for if you want to speedrun hardcore.
And if you're extremely skilled at the class that you're playing, like I'm definitely doing, like I've followed the guide to a T on the lock, but like the lock is fairly easy compared to like a rogue or like, so, and they are slightly different for each class, but at the same time, like, there's definitely quests as a priest it'll tell you to do, and it won't even tell you even to try it as a rogue, because it's just death.
One of my favorite stories. We had, what was it in where Molten Core is? What's that area? Searing Gorge? Yes, maybe. No, Burning Steps.
Burning Stepes.
Well, I mean, it's both of them.
Yeah, well, the one where like you have to go down into the like.
Oh, you have to drop down into the mine. Yeah, that's Searing Gorge.
Yeah.
Right.
So we were there, and at the priest guide, it told me to go fear and collect the item and then run out. Right. But
you guys are pretty solid hardcore players if you're making it all the way there. You guys are talking about some high level zones here. That's pretty,
well, I mean, I've made it to 60 twice. Mel's made it once, but I mean, hardcore? Mel and I. Yeah, I won one duo with Mel and one solo rogue. But I mean, I played
really insane still. I still find it really impressive, Winky, personally, when people actually hit 60 on the challenge, man.
It's still very impressive. And this is, I mean, especially when it's not SOM, right? Yeah, without 100% bonus XP, it is impressive if you hit 60.
Husband, wife, duo, hardcore. That's got to be a vibe, man.
Tested our relationship to new levels.
But I mean, we are like one of sets of our characters made to 35, one made to 20 something, and then the third time around we made it to, or the fourth time around we made it to 60.
Nothing's
You're talking about special memories in hardcore too, though. I forgot to mention this before. It's not as much as it used to be, because in the early days it really was insane. But everybody's first ding party when they hit 60 in hardcore.
Oh man, that was a dream.
It was so like crazy at the time to even do it at all, and not even all the classes had been completed back then. Like I remember Winky's ding party vividly. I remember Gray's vividly. He poured champagne all over himself, and Mulgore made a whole like red carpet like thing for him. Like people's first ding in hardcore.
Kargoz,
pretty awesome.
Do you know how Mel and I's first duo died? We were Warlock Priest, and so
best duo combo in the game, by the way. Warlock Priest is so sick.
Yeah, we'd been doing great. We ended up doing Druid Priest was what we actually got to 60, but we're turning in quests in Stormwind, and Mel decides to go turn in the old book quest, and she's got to walk past that main throne room, and during this time somebody's doing the Ani attunement. And Mel's she's like, I don't know if I could walk by. And I was like, you probably should just wait for it to be over. And she's like, well, nope, I got by. And so she turned in the quest. She's walking back out, and she gets cleaved by the mobs for the Ani quest.
Yeah,
that weren't even attacking her.
360 cleave, yeah.
Yep, it was just a cleave.
That sounds accurate.
I remember just sitting there being like, I'm dead. And like, I look at Bobby and he's like, what? I'm like, I'm dead. And it was just like, so like, I don't know.
Oh, nothing hits harder than your first death, right? Well, like when you see that dead character and then the notification, the raid warning goes off, and you're like, it's just like sinking in, you know, that like you actually just died. Oh yeah.
You're just kind of like, wait, what?
Yep. My first Warlock on Classic era, the first character I ever made in hardcore, died in Skull Rock to Gazoos. which is a very typical thing, right, for a first hardcore player. And then my second warlock, I made it to 60 on, which I took it so slow. Like I think I grinded furbolgs in Felwood for like 5 levels.
Oh my god!
Like
Nothing's
it was
worse
so
than
bad.
Getting to like 45, 50, right, or like between 40 and 50, where you're just like, okay, now this is serious because I can't lose this character now, right? Like up until then, you're kind of like you're invested, but you can get back to that spot pretty quickly. Like once you start getting to 40 and fast and beyond, it's just like, okay,
we need to. I lost my 49 paladin. I lost to fatigue.
Breaking news, Winky as well. Stay safe is back to hardcore as well, dude. Breaking news.
Let's go. We got all the homies. Play it again, huh? Maybe he'll be on F's chat then.
I'm gonna put this next voicemail up. I don't want to. We got to make sure we get to the event and stuff. So I'm gonna put this up and. Yeah, this is Table with a follow-up.
Hey, Bob, Table Slam again. Never mind about that first question. I just fell off the lift in Mulgore, so it's actually not my first character anymore. It's my second one, but, it still applies.
Good job, Table Slam. Good job, Table Slam.
That was great.
That's great.
Yeah, falling deaths. Like, it's so crazy where you're like, I think I can make this.
He had an esteemed member of the community who has been hard stuck in the Barrens. He actually has a legend that he's so hard stuck in the Barrens and can never leave. Finally, after years, got to 58, was about to do it on a hunter, was taking it very safe and cautious. He died the other day to the Undercity elevator.
Yep.
No.
And he's a teacher, and his students were reading, and he died in the classroom in front of his students. So he couldn't even react the way he wanted to. He just had to have quiet time for the rest of the school day.
He's like, we're not going to do anything else today, class.
He rolled in the TV on the stand, bro, and put on.
Put it on.
Put on Bill Nye.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because he was also afraid to play that character for like 6 months. Like he had it sitting on his character screen, and he was scared of dying on it, so he just didn't want to play it. And then he got back on, and there you go.
Man. All right, well,
it happens.
We got 2 more, so here's the next one.
Hey, Mel and Bob, long-time listener, first-time caller, sometimes guest/co-host here. I've heard a lot about the hardcore community, but every time I try to Google it, I just get really, really distracted. But I think sometimes that you have people on who know a thing or two about it. So I was just going to lob this question out there in case you maybe have any notable or musically inclined, beautiful, wonderful hardcore people on. So here's a little 2-parter for you. Thinking back to all of the deleted characters, which one made you laugh the hardest, and which one made you feel maybe the deepest of sympathies? Thank you, guys. I love you all, and have a great podcast.
I can answer that right now. By the way, shout outs to Duranosaur. That was Duranosaur.
Yeah.
Didn't say who he was, but that was Duranosaur.
That was perfect. Perfect intro.
That did not sound like Duranosaur.
He was on a phone. Yeah, it was Duranosaur.
Phones.
Okay.
Laugh the hardest. My favorite death clip of all time that makes me laugh the hardest is actually Crick's drowning. I cannot ever get over how many times Criggs has drowned. He's drowned on hardcore characters at least 4 times. So you can pick any of the 4, and if you know the backstory behind any of those clips, like those are the funniest, because it's also Criggs, right? And Criggs is very animated and loud and eccentric, and it's so good. Like his death clips are always so good.
When I drowned, I was going to kill that captain in Wetlands, that captain underwater, the dead guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I drank a potion, which I thought was an underwater breathing potion, but turned out to be a potion of intellect. Well, yeah.
You were lacking at the time.
And then I killed him, and I'm like, yeah, nice. And then all of a sudden, I was still losing life, and it's like going, ooh, ooh, ooh. And it chunks you hard in Classic. And I was like, oh, God. And I got right to the, I was dead with my nose, literally an inch from the surface of the water. And it was just like, Oh no, I drank an intellect pot. So from that point on, my drowning bar got moved down to right by my health and everything, right above my character. And I was like, dude, no longer will that be on the top of the screen.
It's twofold with Crix though, because first of all, he's drowned so many times. He has like weak auras now, right? But the second thing is it's Crix.
And he's a warlock.
He's a warlock. He can cast underwater breathing.
Oh god.
And never drowned.
Ever.
It literally blows my mind. It's so funny, right? So there's that one, and then the saddest one for me, or the I feel the deepest of sympathies.
Only Black Smoke.
Probably no, for me it's probably Silver TV. She died in Fellwood on her Paladin run. It was the Blessed run, right? She was in the Shadow Zone. She finally got out of the Shadow Zone. She'd been playing for like a year at this point without getting to 60, and she was in Fellwood, and she accidentally pulled in a lead and bubbled and kept releashing, and it was like this most Paladin death clips are the saddest death clips that we have in the community. Because Paladins have so many tools to stay alive, right? So any high level Paladin clip is always like a 5-minute slow death by 1,000 cuts, right?
With these like moments of hope, right? Yes. Where you like get more invested and you're like, oh, they got this. And you're like, oh no, maybe not.
Yeah. So the Paladin, like, so Silver TV's up there for me, and then it's tied with Dawkin. Dawkin died on like 4 Paladins in the 50s. And the last one before the run where he finally finished it was the most heartbreaking clip in the, just like, it's the look on their face, right, when they're dying is just next level, man. Next level.
And just like I think back to the only Black Smoke one, and everybody's leaving and getting out. He's like, guys, I'm still back here. I'm still. And you're like, no.
Yeah, that only Black Smoke clip was rough to watch.
Yeah. What about you?
That was a really hard one.
Kargoz, you have any?
Yeah, easy, funniest one. I mean, it's in its own tier, man. Is when Grays died on enough barbecue. Actually, it had to have been that when we were dueling in Gromgal base camp. We duel. I get him to 1 HP, and usually you have like regen ticks that would, immediately pop you back up to like, 50 health or something like that. The timing, the stars had to align perfectly. I kill him in a duel. Silver raids him. He gets distracted. He walks on top of the flame, just like the little like cooking fire or whatever.
Oh, God.
And dies at like 30 something, or like I forgot what level we were, to be honest. We were about to do a dungeon or something, and then he became steak for days, braised for days. All those things came to be. The saddest one, there's a bunch that come to mind. There's the Joker death where he got griefed and he just got such a hard time after that. Well, after that happened, there's also the Sofix death where he died in Fellwood. I think for me personally, though, there's this one dude, real small creator. I talked about it last episode in the chat. His name is Square Time Mandaron. He reminded me of my buddy Jim, who I grew up with. He was kind of like a, chubby kid. He was like just always very jolly, very like, just such a nice dude. He was leveling very slowly. He's the type of person that goes prot pally from the start. Doesn't really care to level fast. Fishing, alchemy, everything maxed up. Really just enjoying the game. Stopping to smell every rose.
He had a dragonling pet.
Yeah, Dragonling pet equipped, helm shown, cloak shown, body type 1, male paladin just walking around like living his best life, challenging himself. Just a lovely community member. He goes in and he tries to solo the what is that place called?
Stormguard Keep.
Stormguard quests, and those he was very strong. He took a lot of time building his character up. He had world buffs, he had everything. So you normally could be able to kill elites at level. But those elites, there are certain mobs in the game that are just weirdly tuned. Like they're way too strong. It doesn't even make sense.
They have like Mortal Strike and stuff, and like
just crazy damage and stuff. And those Stromguard mobs are like broken almost. Like they just crank them up for no reason, and that's not even something you can solo. And he tried to solo it, and he just died the most heartbreaking death. It was so sad. He died over the course of like a minute-long fight. He's running out of the keep. He's like, no. And he died. And he's like, oh my goodness, I died. He didn't even curse or anything.
Yeah. I had a little more colorful language when I died usually.
Me too.
Yeah. Like I just sit there. Yeah, I my death clips were pretty rough for me. Like when I first died on that first rogue, I was feeling so good. Like I was just like, dude, this is easy. I'm level 29 already. This is great. And
the
then
funny
just
thing
boom,
is, like,
I'm dead, and I'm like,
Mm.
I'm just like my mouth's just open.
Yep. The first death gut checks you, man. Like
Oh yeah.
everyone comes in. It's very similar to Smash Bros. When you go to your first tournament, right? Everyone thinks I'm the best out of my friends. I'm going to beat everyone here. I'm so good at the game. You just get obliterated, right? and then like reality sets in on like, oh my god, there's people that do this, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I remember back in the day, PlayStation 2, I was unbelievable at Tekken Tag. And like, I mean, I would play everybody who would come over from the restaurant I worked at. Like, I mean, we're talking like I'd play dozens and dozens of different people that, you know, were really good. And an 8-on-8 match, I wouldn't even use my first two characters on anybody. Like I just use those first two and go through all 8 of theirs. Went to my first tournament, had to go like to, I think it was St. Louis, yeah. And freaking, I got destroyed. Like just destroyed. Yeah. And it's nuts because like I didn't even think I could be beat, you know. So yeah.
Totally it's the same with hardcore. Yeah. You get on your character. Azimus just made a good video about this on YouTube, actually. He made like a really good POV video of it's like, I'm making my first hardcore character. Oh, I'm never going to die. I'm really good at this game. Like, I'm going to kill Ragnaros, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I'm in this cave and now I'm slowed. And now you're like, oh, my potion's on cooldown and I don't have a Hearthstone up, you know, like,
caves,
and then
man.
you die.
Caves the fuck. Yep. All right, we got one last one here.
Hey, Mel and Bob from the Warcraft Reloaded crew. This is Only Black Smoke calling in. Super excited that you guys got this hotline going. I heard that you guys were touching a little bit on the hardcore scene in today's episode, and I wanted to ask a question to your guests. If we were to have our dreams come true 1,000,000 times over, if Blizzard were to give us hardcore servers, what would be top of your list, no matter how far-fetched, in terms of getting a little something extra from Daddy Santa Blizzard? Thanks again so much, guys. Can't wait to be watching the episode. I'll catch.
I have an immediate answer for that too. I've spent a lot of time thinking about that.
I think all of our answers are the same.
I don't think they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let's let Kargoz go first. I don't know if he's.
Yeah. A lot of things are racing through my mind right now. I hope we live to see the day. Right off the rip, I was thinking that, you know, let's say we could get something from Blizzard with a hardcore server. My immediate thought was like, it would be cool to get server-wide announcements if a 60 dies, but we have that with the add-on right now, right, Winky? So like, you know, I'm just trying to think about how do we get something that the add-on can't do.
Well, I can give you mine. Did you like to hear mine?
Yeah. What's yours?
So I've talked about this on Fs before. I want an actual website leaderboard run by Blizzard that gives you, all it has to be is very similar to Diablo 2, where you keep continually gaining experience post level 60. You don't level up to 61 ever, but everything you do is attributed to experience points. And then the people that are the most active, of course, are going to be getting the most experience points. They're going to be on the highest parts of the leaderboard, right? So it gives you an incentive to play hardcore post 60 and do those 5-man dungeons that you might not want to do otherwise, or do the raids that you might already have all the gear from, right? Because you're doing these things, you're getting quote unquote experience points. It's a hidden value, right? But then you can go look at the leaderboard and be like, oh my God, I'm the 4th most, grizzled veteran character of the hardcore world, as per Blizzard's, community leaderboard website, which would also probably lead to a lot of level 60s dying and going again, right? Yeah. And then every time you die, they just drop down to the bottom of the leaderboard, you go again. Which, and I've always wanted that. They have it in Diablo 2. It has always been a thing in Diablo 2. It's get to level 99, the XP bar keeps going. The people with the most XP are on the number 1 spot on the leaderboard for the entire Diablo season, or ladder season, as they call it. So I want a ladder. I want a Diablo 2 ladder, but for Classic WoW.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I guess mine's just boring. Like, I guess mine's like one that everybody just thinks we should get, but I just want a hardcore server. Like, that's what I want.
Blizzard gives us the key. It gives us the keys to the castle with that. We can do the rest. If I had to choose something, one thing, maybe two things that go hand in hand, in my books, it's something that we can't do at the add-on, because we already have this add-on going with a lot built into it. And like, of course, it'd be nice for Blizzard if they have X amount of development resources to put into it. You know, if we're going to spend all of our development resources on something that we can already do ourselves through the add-on, it seems kind of like a waste. The thing that we couldn't control, though, is I'd want them to do a PvE server, a PvP server, and then every year just automatically just want them to reset, just literally like restart.
And I want the PvP server to have like a 3 to 5 level max being able to attack somebody type of rule set in there.
Yeah, that could be cool too. That could be cool.
I've just always thought that was wrong in WoW.
To see if anybody even plays on it. It could be an absolute disaster, the PvP server of it.
Well, it would be horrible after a certain amount of people got to 60. It would be horrible.
You know what I mean? On it.
Yeah, so like I would want like some rules there. I've always thought there should have just been rules from the start about that on PvP servers. So back in the day.
One, then maybe it would just be the server resetting, because like if they just gave us a server, all content in it, everything, ideally even the Scourge invasion bosses, just because we just put as much content in there as possible, and then reset it every year. We as a community can kind of take it from there. Obviously, it'd be nice if they could promote it a little bit or something, but
yeah, same. All right. Well, we are quickly running out of time, and we want to promote this new event around hardcore. So, unfortunately, I didn't know that Kargoz was going to have to go soon. So, hopefully, you can get everything you want to say out. I just was trying to build the hype about hardcore and really give like a reason to do this event. So, my bad, dude.
No, absolutely. I'm so thankful for the invite here. I really enjoyed meeting you guys at TwitchCon. You guys are amazing people.
Same here.
It was a great pleasure. I'm happy to be here talking with you guys. Anytime you ever need anyone to talk or anything on whatever subject, I'm down. But this event, it's kind of impromptu. It happened. It got thought up in the last 2 weeks. So we didn't have this plan for a long time, but sometimes the best events happen like that. A bunch of us decided to just come back to the game. It happened. It snowballed really quickly. We had Big Grays and Ompy and Cat and Nom Nom and Winky and so many of the OGs, man, Parla, so many people coming back, and we just got together in a call. We started, talking about different ideas. What should we do? Should we do, Nefarian should be the next goal? Should we announce a big, hardcore nightmare event where we're doing all the world bosses and it's super sweaty? I think it was Ompy was the guy who suggested no, let's just take a more laid back approach. It doesn't have to be so giga sweaty with all these rules. Let's just have a good time. Let's do a holiday event, and after a few weeks, let's just see what we have, and let's throw everybody into the meat grinder and try to kill Azure Ghost, which is a world boss dragon. So that's pretty much what the event is. Like, we did hardcore holidays in 2020. Silver Sables spearheaded the last one. We raised about 30 grand for a good cause for pancreatic cancer last time. It was very wholesome. People were doing game shows and cool scripted community events. So we're doing it again. The event's called Hardcore Holidays. It started on the 15th. And if you're listening to this right now, I promise you're not behind it all. There's nothing to even be behind on. Like, we're just playing the game, enjoying it, being there for each other, just being good, classic WoW ambassadors, having a good time, enjoying the simple things, running dungeons with people and leveling up. And what on the first, so on New Year's Day, we're going to take what we have, players of all levels, any faction, whatever. There's no raid slots in this. It's open world, right? And we're going to come together and we're going to throw our characters into the meat grinder that is Azure Ghost. And we're probably going to die, and we know that going into it. And we might give the world the death clip they always wanted, to see a massive, large scale, hardcore raid wipe. It's possible.
A couple cool things about that, though. The first thing is you don't have to throw your character away if you don't want to. If you don't want to run at Azure Ghost. That's fine. If you're attached to your character, keep going.
Make a new level 1 and come to Azurgos.
the cool part about this is that this event is Horde and Alliance because it is a world boss and we are one community, right? We are all going to stand in front of that thing, Horde and Alliance together, and throw our characters at Azure Ghost. So you can join the event as an Alliance character, as a Horde character, doesn't matter. We have 3 guilds on Alliance, 3 guilds on Horde. 2 of them are guild capped at the moment. Like lots of people are coming in and playing. And it's just always really, really fun. And you're never going to fall behind because guess what? Kargoz died yesterday. He's going to start a new character today, right? So if you start today,
what server is it on?
EU's Hydraxian and NA's Bloodsail Buccaneers.
And I think it's a cool project. Like I said before, the classic WoW gamers, the built diff 112 enjoyers of the world, we're at the stage of our life that we have some discretionary income. Most of us probably have significant others. We're a little bit more, we have some time and ability to work on cool things, and we can treat this as a fun project. Let's see how big we can pump up Era. Let's see how much hype we can build as a community, putting our combined resources and brain power together to make a splash and show Blizzard that people love vanilla and there's still like a pretty vibrant, robust community there that wants to play it. And then that hopefully encourages them to do hardcore servers, keep SOM going, and just keeping the torch lit. Because that's one thing I've learned about myself over the years. Like I enjoy TBC, I enjoy Wrath, I enjoy other versions of the game, but vanilla's home, vanilla's goated, vanilla's BIS forever, rank 1, and I'm gonna be there every step of the way for the community. So.
Yeah, and we're going to put there's a little promo video Kargoz did. We'll put that link in the notes or, in the YouTube notes or wherever you look at it, they'll be in the notes. And in your thing, you said like you weren't being as sweaty with the rules. Have the rules like changed at all? Is it still like one dungeon, still yada yada?
Yeah, that stuff is still in place, but we don't have the buff that the griefers can take away from us this time, and that people can get all worked up about with appeals and stuff. The vibe is different now. Like, and we were trying to prove ourselves with Road to Rag to do the mortal raid. Is it even possible? We had the whole eyes of the world on us, and we did accomplish the mission. This time around with Hardcore Holidays, that pressure isn't there. The competitiveness to try to get raid slots in the main raid is not there. We don't even have a buff they can take from us. So it just hits different. And once you start playing on Bloodsail and you get back to Era with 1x values, no SOM, nothing like that, you'll see what I mean. But the rule set is the same, but the vibe is different. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So it's gonna be cool. I'll have the link to the hardcore Discord as well in the chat, but there are in the notes. Is there anything else anybody wants to say before I close out the show here?
Good.
Well, thanks for having me on again. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for coming, guys.
My real life friends over here. This whole call is all people that we're friends in real life. Wild how that works.
Leveled up.
Right?
Crazy. Well,
upgraded.
All right, well, let's go ahead and close it out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can also follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email, send that to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to interact with the host of this show or any show on the Mash Network, it's mash.gg/Discord. We might be making our own Discord soon. We're tooling it around. A lot of people have asked for it, so stay tuned to see about that. How can you help the podcast? Ratings, reviews on iTunes, stars on Spotify. The YouTube's kind of growing a bit, so maybe comments, likes, hit that bell. Yep, you can do our Patreon, which is just at Warcraft Reloaded. You can buy a guide from Rested XP, help yourself out with 5% off, and help us out as the show using code RELOADED. All right, I think I got it all out there. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch or in game on Mel Arena.
All right, and Winky, where can we find you?
You can find me anywhere that's social media. I have Winky Potamus, Potomus, and then you can find me at twitch.tv/Winky, where I'm at most of the time.
All right, and Kargoz, I've seen you've been streaming more recently. Are you back? Like, where can we find you?
I'm back, bro. I'm back for now, man. I love the people, man. It's for me, it's the people. It's people like Winky and Grays in the community. I love you guys. You guys are amazing and like my social life, and I appreciate you all. So, yeah, anything Kargoz, YouTube, Twitch. Thankfully, no one really tries to, fight me for the name on it. So it'd be easy to find on that stuff. And again, like, thank you so much for the invite. Happy holidays. You guys are amazing.
No problem. Thank you.
Hashtag goals for my own relationship to see you guys thriving and doing your thing. So
awesome. And that's Kargoz, guys. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I assume everybody knows Kargoz, but sometimes maybe people don't. So yeah, and sometimes Kargoz gaming too. So just check out Kargoz. You'll find him. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch at Blazin Bob. Let's get out of here, guys.
Bye.
All right, take care, my friends. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.